we talked about different types of way or method you can um, solve a quadratic equation under the theory of quadratic equation. And in our last class, we talked about what the factorization method. And we say today we're going to be talking on what the completing the square method. Now, of course, this completing the square method, its application is also used in the third method of solving a quadratic equation, which is also known as what? The formula method. So the concept of completing the square method is very important because you will use this to derive the expression for what? The formula method under one of the methods of solving a quadratic equation. Of course, for example, let's say we are given a quadratic equation. Let's say we are given x squared plus 5x minus 6, or let's call this negative 6 plus 6 equal to what? 0. Of course, we say that the general form of a quadratic equation is given by what? Ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. Now, we're given a equation, for example, and they say you should calculate the roots of the equation or the value of x using the completing the square method. Calculate what? Or calculate the roots or find the roots of the equation given what? X squared minus 5x plus 6 using what? Completing the square method. How do you go about this? Of course, now first of all, the concept is easy. Now let's say we have, of course, we're given x squared minus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. Now the step 1 is step 1. So let's take step 1. Our step 1 is to move the value of c, which is this term. So we have to move what? The constant c to the other side. To the other side, which is what? The right hand side. That is step 1. Move the value of the constant, which is 6. In this case, c is 6. Comparing to the general form of the equation. So of course, when we do that, we have x squared negative what? 5x equal to what? Negative 6. Of course, that's the first step. We have successfully moved this, and when you move the positive to the other side, it becomes a negative. That's why you have negative 6. Now the second step is there's something we say the coefficient of a particular term. Coefficient of a particular term. Now we said coefficient of a term is the constant that is attached to that term. Let's say, for example, we have 3x. The coefficient of x is the constant attached to what? The x. Coefficient of 3x squared is what? The constant attached to what? The x squared. So in this case, take note, the coefficient of x squared here is 1, right? The coefficient of x negative 5, right? Get that concept. Okay, now take down. Let's go into step 3. Step 2. So we have step 2. Easy concept. The coefficient of x here is negative 5, right? So like we are bringing the coefficient of x here is negative 5. So we have the coefficient of, comparing with this equation, we are having negative 5 as equation to the one given. So therefore, coefficient of b, of course, in this case is what? Negative 5. Now the step is what? Add the half of the coefficient. Okay, add the square of the half of the coefficient of what? X to both sides. To both sides. Add what? The square of the half of the coefficient of b to both sides. That's what step 2 is. As easy as that. So we are adding it, we are having what? When they say to both sides, to the right hand side, to the left hand side, normally we have our equation as what? X squared negative 5x equal to what? Negative 6. If we are adding this to both sides, we're having what? X squared negative 5x plus, we are adding it, bracket 1 over 2 multiplied by negative 5 all square is equal to what? Negative 6 plus bracket 1 over 2 multiplied by negative 5 all square. Of course, we successfully did that. So this gives us x squared negative 5x. Of course, this multiplied by this, it becomes what? Plus bracket negative 5 over 2 all square is equal to what? Negative 6 plus bracket negative 5 over 2 all square. Of course, now when we reach this point, there's something we normally do in what we call solving quadratic equation or factorizing a particular term. At this point now, see, let me show you something. When we reach a case like this, now let's put our emphasis on the left hand side, which is part of the equation. When you reach a point like this in a quadratic equation, now if you have x squared minus 5x plus negative 5 over 2, it is x squared negative 5 over 2. This we'll go further to now. Let's bring this out. Let's try to factorize it. Okay, now this x is not going to be here, so you're left with x negative 5 over 2 all square. When you see a scenario like this, in every term, in any way you're doing a quadratic equation, you must take the first term, take the term inside here. It must give you this expression. Now let's test run what we did. So we're having x negative 5 over 2 all square. This is the same as what? Taking, of course, two of them. Of course, this will multiply this, you have what? X. This will multiply this, you have negative 5 over 2 x. We are done with this multiplying this. Then this one now will multiply this, you have what? Negative 5 over 2 x. This will multiply this, you have positive what? 5. Of course, this multiplied by 5 is 5 square, which is 25. So let's leave it as 25. Multiply like this, you have what? 4. Now, when you add these two, you have what? X square negative, we're having over 2. So we're having 5x negative 5x. Of course, this will lead to what? Plus, let's break this down in terms of square. So you're having x square, this plus this will give us negative 10x over 2 plus 5x square over 2. So you're having x square, of course, 2 into this will be 5, negative 5x plus 5 over 2 whole square. So therefore, you can see that what we had here is the same thing as what we have here. So in a case where we have these two, we will just take the first term and take the term inside here. So that's what's the concept. Of course, when we do that, we have equal to what? Negative. Of course, we can open this. We have 25 because 5 square is what? 25. And 2 square is what? 4. Now to take LCM here. So we have taking the LCM between of course 4 and 1. We have 4. 4 divided by 4 multiplied by 6 divided by 1 gives us negative 24. Then of course 4 divided by 4 multiplied by 25 gives us 25. Of course, then we have that x negative 5 over 2 all square is equal to what? Negative 24 plus 25 gives us what? 1 over 4. So therefore, we have what? Of course, this concept is easy. Take the LCM between negative 6 plus 25 over 4 to give us 1 over 4. Very easy concept. So therefore, look at this concept now. But to take the square root of both sides. Take the square root of both sides. So if you take the difference of both sides, this will cancel this. Have x negative 5 over 2 equal to what? Plus minus. Anytime you take the square root of a constant in the other side, it becomes plus minus of the value. Of course, the square root of 1 over 4 is equal to what? 1 over 2. Of course, we are going to move negative 5 over 2 to the other side. It becomes what? X is equal to what? Of course, 5 over 2. A negative moving to the other side becomes a positive. Plus minus what? 1 over 2. Now, this means that you have a solution of x equals to what? 5 over 2 plus 1 over 2. And what? You have x equals to what? 5 over 2 negative 1 over 2. So this becomes x, of course, taking LCM, we have 2. 5 plus 1, 6. And what? x equals to what? Taking LCM, we have 2, 5 negative 1, 4. So therefore you have x equals to what? 6 over 2 is what? 3. And x equals to what? 4 over 2 is 2. So therefore this is the solution for a value for a equation of x squared negative 5x plus 6 equals to 0. And the concept, our first step was what? Move the constant b to the other side, the constant c to the other side. In this case, we move this negative 6 to the other side of the equation. It became, we moved 6 to the other side of the equation, it became negative 6. And step 2 was what? Identify the coefficient of b. In this case, our coefficient of b, considering the equation, was negative 5. So what do? We took what? We add the square of the half of the coefficient of the coefficient of b, which is negative 5, to both sides of the equation. So this is what we did, and we have an expression like this. And we said a very vital rule that in the case where you have this scenario, in completing the square method, you must take one of those numbers that has square. So if you have x squared, take x, and if you have what? Negative 5 over 2 or square, take 1, which is 5 over 2. Then group how this step was equal to this step, so therefore it's correct. And of course we look for the LCM here, and we have 1 over 4. Then we take the square root of both sides. Of course our aim is to find the value of x in this case, so we had, of course, taking the square root, and we have plus minus, and this result as the case where you have a square root of the other side, a constant. And of course we have x equals to 3 and x equals to 2 as the general solution for equation using the completing the square method. So now let's solve another sample problem. Of course, we have another problem. So they say here if you solve for the value of s of x using the completing the square method. And of course, we are given an equation of 2x squared negative 3x plus 1 equals to 0. We have solution. And now it's very important to take note. The first question we solved the question where we have x squared negative 5x plus 6 equals to 0, right? That's what we solved earlier. But you notice that the value of a, comparing it with the general equation, the value of a was 1, right? So please, in any question you're given that we should solve using completing the square method, a must be equal to what? 1. In this case, a is not 1. So how do we make a equals to 1? You need to divide both sides. You need to divide both sides by the coefficient of what? X squared. So doing that, you have to divide both sides by what? 2. So if you do that, you're having 2x squared over 2 negative 3x over 2 plus 1 over 2. Of course, then of course when you've reached this point, this will cancel this. You have what? X squared negative 3 over 2 x plus what? 1 over 2 equals to 0. To rewrite this, we have x squared negative 3 over 2 x plus 1 over 2 equal to 0. The next step is now, since a is equals to 1, we have to move this constant to the other side. So we have what? X squared negative 3 over 2 x equal to what? 1 over 2. This will become negative 1 over 2. The next step is what? Add the square of the half of the coefficient of what? X. The coefficient of x in this case is negative 3 over 2. So we have to add the square of that, half of the square of that. So therefore it becomes x squared negative 3 over 2x plus what? Of course 1 over 2 multiplied by negative 3 over 2. The square is equal to what? 1 over 2, negative 1 over 2. So you have negative 1 over 2 plus what? Bracket 1 over 2 multiplied by negative 3 over 2 all square. Of course, let's work on this. We have 3 over 2x plus what? This multiplied by this, you have bracket negative 3. 2 multiplied by 2, you have 4. Of course, this becomes this equal to what? Negative 1 over 2 plus bracket negative 3 over 4 all squared. And the concept was take one of these, take one of these, so you have x negative what? Of course, now take note, x negative over 4 or square. This is what we will do. Of course, negative x over x negative 3 over 4 is equal to what? So we're having negative 1 over 2 plus, now take note, when you square negative 3 you have 9, when you square 4 you have 16. The next step is to look for what? The LCM of what? This. The LCM between 2 and 16 is 16. So therefore you have over what? 16. 16 multiplied by 1 divided by 2. Or let's take it like this. 16 over 2 is 8. 8 multiplied by negative 1 becomes negative 8. 16 divided by 16, the LCM, multiplied by 6, which is 1 times 6. So you have plus, sorry, 1 times 9, you have plus 9. So therefore, this becomes what? Negative 8 plus 9 is what? 1. So you have 1 over 16. So therefore, this becomes what? X negative 3 over 4 all square is equal to what? 1 over 16. So the next step is what? Take the square root of both sides. This will cancel this. You have x negative 3 over 4 is equal to plus minus. Actually, the importance of this plus minus has been emphasized in the first sample problem. We should just know this at this step. The square root of 1 is what? 1. The square root of 16 is what? 4. So therefore, we are going to make x subject formula. So you have x is equal to what? 3 over 2, 3 over 4. When you move negative 3 over 4 to the other side, it becomes 3 over 4 plus minus what? 1 over 4. So therefore, you have two values of x. We say that x is equal to what? 3 over 4 plus 1 over 4, or x equals to what? 3 over 4 negative 1 over 4. In a case where LCM are equal, so it becomes 4, 3 plus 1, 4, and we have x equals to what? 4 as the LCM, 3 negative 1, 2. So therefore, you have x equals to what? 4 over 4 is 1, and 2 over 4 is what? X equals to 1 over 2. So this is the concept of what? Completing the square method in one of the methods for calculating a quadratic equation. So this concept has been simplified using two sample problems to understand all the concept of what? Completing the square method. So please do well to like, subscribe, turn your notification bell on so you'll be notified when we drop a new video. Of course, this channel is a channel where we'll learn a lot in all science courses. So thank you very much and see you later.